My short introduction will be like I have around 8 years of experience in C++ application programming. I work for majorly 3 companies till now, and with like product-based companies basically. So where I was involved in the algorithms and data structure development using C++. So and prior to that, I have completed my engineering from College of Engineering Pune, and since 2011 I was working as a software engineer in C++ field. I have a surrounding knowledge of C# and SQL as well, but my focus is on C++, so I would like to share my knowledge whatever I have till now. Can you everyone can see my screen? I have opened the presentation. So my thinking of starting this course is like I will not go with the college professors with theoretical things, and because what I observed in my experience is to start with the practical approach, and then while doing this practical things we can understand the theoretical part very well. So that approach I will follow, so that whoever is participant here can understand the theoretical part along with the when they start coding. So that is the better understanding than just to teach the theoretical part and then to start with coding. So while starting coding they might forget whatever we taught in theoretical part. So that will be my approach. Okay. So I think I don't know about the participants are having how much experience around C++. So what I'm thinking is means my approach about teaching is like I think everyone is new to C++, and I'm going to teach them a C++ program, very basic C++ program, so that they can at least have a start with their own C++ program today, and they will be familiar with how to start with programming in C++. So as you see on the screen in the blue color, there is a basic pattern how we start with the C++ programming. So in as I explained here, we have to include the headers initially. Headers is nothing but the the basic data types or basic functionalities provided by the compiler. Whenever you start any C++ programming, you have to include some predefined processes, predefined functions, predefined data types using this include keyword. So as I explained here, these are modules that include functions which can use in the program. We'll almost always need to include the headers defines. So what program is basically? Program is nothing but you have to give some input, and then you can see that some processing can be done inside using algorithms, and then you will see as output. So basic thing is input, and the final thing is output. So here scene is seen and cout. You can see here scene is used for to provide the input to programs, and cout is to print the whatever we have the output. This is the basic keywords, very basic in C++. We have included the iostream.h, which has the scene cout functions implemented. So no worry about that. So we just have to use it. No need to implement again. Then int main is nothing but the main function, which is the entry point for the any C++ program. So inside that we inside this curly braces of main function, we'll write all the complete code what we want to implement actually. So we have inside this we have variables, we have input values from user, and then we'll do computation or we'll apply some logics on that input values, and then we print the output to user. So main algorithm you have to write is always inside the main function. So this is the basic syntax for any C++ program. I will explain you a simple program in next slide. But before that, I want to explain you like there are 3 steps whenever we write a C++ program. So first step is to write the program as we written here in blue color. You can see the next one is compile. So compilation is nothing but whatever we return should be correct or should be correct. If it has some errors, this compilation step check for syntax error, that will show you there are some errors in your program. So that are just typing errors or syntactical errors or some grammatical not it may be the spelling mistakes, you can say, and which and might be which is not supported by C++ compiler. So that kind of errors are visible in compile step. The next is the linking part. So what linking does, if compilation is successful, then linking does is links with the dependent modules and libraries. So this is something advanced. I will may explain this one in coming part. That at that time we will may correlate this very properly. But just a overview, I'll tell you, like, suppose if I use some library or some function in main function, then that function is defined somewhere in some library. So I have to link that library with my current program so that it will understand that this function is coming from that particular library. So that is the linking part. And next one is execute. Once compilation and linking is done, we'll get some executable file, as we get like .exe, which is executable file. We can run that file and we can provide input or whatever we ask for in the main function, and then finally it will show the output however we printed that in the main function. So this complete main function is executed by the executable, and input, it asks for input, and then whatever the process we have done in the computation and execution will be done, and then it prints the output. So this is just the basic idea. So there are few notes before proceeding to write a C++ program. So there are if you write some new algorithm or some calculation part, so for better understanding we put some comments in the program. So that comment can be put by using this double slash if it is single line comment, and if it is a multiple line comment, you can put in between these statement like slash star, and put your comment here multiple lines, and again end with the star slash, so it will be commented. The compiler won't take this as a code. This is just for user understanding. The next one is indentation. It is just for user convenience. It is code will be like good to read, because here you can say it's very small program, but in industry you will get like 3000 to 5000 to 10,000 lines of code in a single file. So that should be readable. The new developer should can be easily read it and can understand it. For this, indentation is required. So that maybe will come into picture whenever we start coding a bigger algorithm. And there is semicolon, that is delimiter for compiler. Means whenever we have to end a statement, so we use the semicolon. And the next one is lower and uppercase. So whenever we write C++ program, just remember that the case in a lowercase or uppercase is always matters. So whenever you write some function, we have to call that function using the same cases where you have declared it. Suppose we use a void, so it always should be in small case because it is defined as a keyword in C++ library. So as I explained how we write the program, this is here we have a very sample program, that is hello world. Whenever we start with C++, we should write this first program where we can understand how the linking compilation is done, then how linking is done, then how we can execute that program, and where we can see the here we have included, as I explained, we have included the IOStream library where input and output for the streams are defined. The next line is using namespace std. So this is little bit next part I will explain you in maybe next session where it is used in the code. So just remember it. This is the standard library provided by C++. As I explained, the IOStream is a IO declarations. The next one is cout. This cout we are using from IOStream, and this is used for whatever string we have provided for this function. So this, if I say cout hello world, this is nothing but it will print, cout will print this hello world string in the output window, and then we have to terminate the program correctly. It should not crash or it should not misbehave after completion of output. So we are returning 0. That means we are done with the program execution and it will then exit. So finally what you'll see in the output window is hello world. So I will just show you maybe a simple program. We have tools, multiple online compilers. So this is the basic compiler C++ shell. Please note this down, cpp.sh. If you don't have any like Visual Studio or anything, so you can use this online compiler to understand the basic programs. So I'm writing the same program whatever written in the presentation. So I want to check. Suppose I miss the semicolon and I say execute. See, it is giving an error. This is compilation error. See here we have provided compilation and error is expected semicolon. So you should remember after completion of every statement there should be semicolon. And now there is compilation successful and execution. You can see hello world as output. So this is the output for this program. So you can use this platform for testing your program. It is working fine or not. If you don't have any, so I will tell you how to install the Visual Studio, which is the compiler provided by Microsoft, which is widely used in the industries. But for basic programs, here you can simply test it, and you can also save these programs in as a file in your maybe backup folder or somewhere. So coming back to presentation, this was the very basic program. There are no any variables, nothing. We are just saying print this statement here. So next is the variable declaration. So main thing in C++ or any programming language, we have there should be some variables or data types where we can store some information. So the basic data types will be provided by all languages. Suppose in C++, there are some basic data types are provided. Out of that, I will just explain you the, the simpler and widely used one. That is here integer, double, character. Integer is natural number, integer. Double is real number, having uh, double means integer is the whole number like 1, 2, 3, 4, and double is nothing but 1.2 to 2.3. Suppose it's a decimal. And character is character A B C D to A to Z, any character. So to store the characters we use char keyword. You can say variable. For storing the double value, decimal value, we'll use the double keyword, and for the whole number we'll use the integer. So how to declare it? In example you can see below in blue, this is the exactly the code we write in the main function. So if we have to declare a variable, suppose a is variable here, a b c are variables, but the type is integer. So we write it as a integer, what type it is, and then its name. You can name anything like my integer, like employee number, or like you can say my roll number. But you have to, prior to that, you have to say this whatever I am writing is integer. Same in case of double. So double, suppose if you have to uh, write your percentage, so percentage 80 point something, 80.20. So you have to hold, if you have to hold the decimal number, then it should be the type of double. And character, suppose you have to store your grade A B C, so you will declare it as a character. These are the basic data types. Now as I told you, there are iostream library having in cin and cout functions to take input from user and to print the output. So I will explain you the input one, how to take the input from the user. So if you defined in the last word, in the last slide, you already defined a is integer, a b c are integers. So if I say c in a, then user will expect, if you write this c in a, then in the code user will, this code will expect integer input from the user. If I say c in b and c, then the code will expect there are two input as an integer, because b and c are also integer, but you need two inputs at once. Then again c in x is also integer, I think. Now it's a double. Then the user should have to put a decimal number, and then scene character. Here user will this code will expect a character from user. Similarly, cout A, cout B and C, and cout. This is the string. This is my character. So I'll just explain you this with the code, because theoretically it is like confusing. Everyone can write along with me. So you can observe, like if it's a predefined keyword like provided by compiler, it comes in a blue color. Now I have declared all the variables A, B, C. So this is just a declaration. Line number 7, you can see integer ABC. This is declaration. I haven't assigned any value to it. I want some value for A from user. So I will say scene A. Then whatever user give input, it will be assigned to A. Then again I will say scene. Then suppose if I say cout, so this ANDL is nothing but I have to print this line in the output window, and I want to put the next one in the next line. Now as I explained earlier, if I put double slash, this part will be commented and the compiler will ignore this part. We are currently not using this two variable, so it is saying unused variable, so we can comment it whenever we need it. We can. So it is now waiting for your input. So if I say A is 5, then again it will wait for B, then B is 6, then it will print A plus B cout. You can see here in the below the output is 11, 5 plus 6. So this way you can give input to user, input from user like A, and then next input is B. So we said put input 5 for A, then A will be assigned to 5. Then next input we have given is 6, then B will be assigned to 6, and then in cout we said do A plus B. So it has done A plus B, and then it, cout is used for printing the output in the output window. So 11 is printed here. So this is regarding scene and cout. So first one is just cout. We did simply cout, so it directly made it to output window. Here we are taking input and then we are printing. So this way you can write your calculator program, right? First is addition, then subtraction, then division. So until here I'm directly jumping into coding part. I'm following the different approach, so that you will start coding and you will get some interest on the coding, because this whatever we started, this doesn't need that theoretical information. Once we deep dive in the coding part, I will along with that what we are doing, I will explain you in the theoretically, so that you can easily correlate and you will understand what we are doing. Otherwise, first teaching the theoretical part and then going for the code, it is confusing one. So you try to implement all the theory in the code, and something got many things got confused, and it's like it looks like the coding is like difficult. So that I want everyone to enjoy the coding. Theoretical part is it's just a matter of correlation, what you are writing the code, and understanding it, what are the concepts. As this is a demo lecture, I'm just going through the what I can say the basic programs you get familiar with. And once you start the maybe session or the complete course, uh, I will go through like points, like how to the course material agenda kind of thing. So the next part of coding is if else conditions, if statements, we will say. In this image, you can view this image to understand what exactly I'm trying to say. So many times their condition appears in the algorithm or in your requirement is like, if there is something, I have to do this way, and if that is not the case, we have to do in else thing. Suppose user say, I will give two number, and with that two number there are multiple things can be done. But user say, if I say add it, then I will add it. And if user say, if I don't say add, then just subtract it. That's it. There are two conditions. So when here input comes A and B, so if user says I want to add it, then it will be true, like it will go to yes1, because user said condition as add. Then in the yes1 I will do the addition. And if I say condition is not add, then I will go to else part and simply subtract it. So instead of here in C out, we'll say a plus b, and in else part we'll say a minus b, and we'll make it as output. So if condition have, there are multiple uh, operators, comparison operators that can be used to compare values. So if I say user input is add equal to add, then we'll say go for addition. These are compared, these operators you will come to know when you start coding one by one. We'll add some more and more if conditions, and we can also put like multiple comparison conditions in a single if condition. Means suppose if I say add only if a is equal to a is greater than 5 and b is greater than 5, so both are greater than 5, then only add it. So then we need two comparisons in a single if condition, so that can also be possible. So just get an overview of these comparison operators. Don't try to remember it. Once you start using, you will get familiar with it, and it will not that difficult to understand at that time. So take a overview. What is not equal, what is less than, greater than. This is very basic keywords we were using from school days. Here boolean is in the mathematics or geometry you might have learned it. Suppose we have and condition. So if both are true, and will return true. Or is if there are two conditions, first and second. If first is true and second is false, or any one of those two is true, then it will return as a if condition as true. And not is just reverse. If you say equal to if it is true, if it is returns true, then it make it as a false. Means reverse. You can simply say this not keyword will do the reverse of whatever value we got in the if condition. So these are examples for your basic understanding. The first condition you can see here, a equal to b. So a is 2 and b is 5. So a equal to b is not true. So it will not go to if condition, it will go to else, because this condition is the second condition. If a is not equal to b, so it will go to if condition, not else part. The next one is a is less than or equal to b plus c. A is 2, b plus c is 15. So this is correct. So it will go to if part, not the else one. So as I explained, you can put the multiple conditions and. So if both are true, then only it will go to if condition, if part. And any of these two is false, as you put and, it will go to else part. And if instead of this and, if you put or, in any one of this is true, then it will go to if part, because we put it as a or. And here not is if the whole condition is true, then it makes that a false. So just overview this program, we'll write this program in the compiler and we'll see how this is working. So for now, as this is demo and we are not practically writing the code, I will I will explain the debugging part in the next session. Debugging is nothing but whatever code we have written, we'll check it one line by line. It is correct or not, how it is working. So right now I'm simply showing you the.
Suresh, is it possible for you to just show the curriculum that we are going to cover in the
What curriculum?
syllabus that you're going to topics? Just like we have already shared with you that file or PDF file that regarding all the topics, so that the candidates can be clear that what we are going to cover after the course completion.
You mean the agenda or
A basic agenda, like you have all the basic agenda.
what the course will cover, right?
If you have that file, otherwise we will mail them.
Which file? The sound is breaking actually, that's why.
I just wanted to what are the topic like the syllabus that we have shared with you.
So what are all topics we are going to cover in the course that you are asking?
Okay, that will be discussed with the candidates, not issue.
Okay.
If you have
I
right
think
now,
I visited the website. It was there actually. What are all the
oh, oh,
testing?
oh,
These are all the types, right? So in syllabus you are talking about. Yeah, so I'm just covering up the simple data types and basic programming today. Now I'm showing the programs because at least the candidates can start with some basic coding without understanding, because this doesn't need the much theoretical understanding here. So what I'm writing here is if user given input as A and B, both input initially, we are checking if condition. If A is less than B, then user will say A is minimum and print the A value. In else part, it will print B is minimum, because if B is minimum, then it will go to else part. A is minimum and we are saying print A, and in else part it means it is not going to the if condition, means this is the last slide actually for us. So if I say run, then it is asking for input C in A. So if I say A is 5 and now it is asking for B, then B is 6, then it will say it is saying A is minimum and value of A is 5. So it is executing the if condition, and I'll just show you how it will execute the else condition. I'll again run it. I'll say A is 6 and B is 5, then it is showing B is minimum. So this is executing the else condition. So this is the very simple if else condition. You can work on it maybe uh, in your test program after this session. So that's it for the demo session. I think we can do one exercise like you can take a character as input from user. If user says y,